Donald Trump spoke in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and this one is a doozy. So let's go through it. Lots of moments to look at. And this is another one of those situations where time and time again he got on these bizarre tangents that then it seems, even though he's the one who decided to jump off the teleprompter and wander his way into this thought, he seems confused at what he's saying and doesn't really know where to end the thought. And it's all very strange and incoherent. Before playing the first clip, it's funny seeing how media outlets try to synthesize down what takes place in these speeches to an article that readers can absorb in some way that makes sense. And Midas Touch did it as such. Confused Trump appears disoriented during speech. Moments after bragging that he aced a screening test meant to detect signs of dementia, Donald Trump appeared confused and disoriented while delivering remarks in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Then it talks about the first clip that will look at him saying that they're trying to debank you from your political beliefs, he says, which doesn't make sense. But then also he's going to debank, but then he bails on that thought and jumps over to they're taking your rights away and electric cars. Take a look. Then after a few of these moments, I'll show you him very insecurely trying to convince his followers that he's cognitively sharp, which is something I've never heard from someone who's super sharp. I'm really smart, I promise.
But we're also going to place strong protections to stop banks and regulators from trying to debank you from your political beliefs, what they do. They want to debank you, and we're going to debank. Think of this. They want to take away your rights. They want to take away your country. The things you're doing, all electric cars, give me a break. If you want an electric car, good. But they don't go far. They're very expensive. They're going to be...
Okay. In 25 seconds, he gets from they're going to debank you, quote, from your political beliefs. What they do, they want to debank you. We're going to debank. Think of this. They're taking your country away, electric cars. But you can have electric cars, but they're just bad. Blah, blah, blah. I saw Ben Wexler on X say, inside his brain, there's just a guy saying, you just said gibberish. And another guy saying, quick, double down. And that's the thing that makes Trump's gaffes so strange. He doesn't do what normal people do, which is, grass. Or they wanted to bank you from for your political beliefs or because of your political beliefs and just correct yourself. So then he says from and has to just jump off of that into a blob of confusion because he can't show that he made a mistake, even though it's quite obvious. And we've seen these examples, the oranges or the origins of the investigation, or if he was talking about regulating trains, hypothetically, this is what he would do. Okay. If he accidentally said trans instead of trains, he would more likely just start ranting about trans people than just switch. Trains, not trans, trains. We have to regulate trans because of what they're doing with the trans people. That's what he would do. Very, very bizarre. Then here's him saying they trust him, but they don't trust him. And they know that he's smart and competent, but they don't trust him. They do trust him, and they would trust him with the business.
But you trust Trump. But some people would say, I trust Trump in terms of competence, but I don't want him to run away with my damn stuff. They trust Trump. They give me such a bum rap, these people. They are so bad. They are so bad. But they would trust Trump, but they wouldn't trust. They had a thing the other day.
What?
Would you trust him to run your business? Okay, small.
They would trust Trump, but they wouldn't trust Trump. But they would trust Trump, but they wouldn't trust Trump. And then he says this one again. ID to buy bread. See, I made a mistake, then I corrected it.
Voter ID, they have ID on everything. You buy a loaf of bread, you have ID. Everything to get into a store. But they don't want it for one reason, because they cheat.
This is something he's repeated so many times. Can one of his staffers pull him aside and say, what are you talking about? Why do you keep repeating that? It's like when he kept saying the 1917 pandemic, even though it was 1918. Just one person could say, oh, it's 1918, 1917. Then we get to the part of his speech where he, and I think this came before what I just played for you, but he took a good amount of time out of his speech to insist that he's top of his game cognitively, which is something that no one said ever when they were at the top of their game cognitively.
Believe it or not, I feel like I'm about 35 years old. I actually feel better now than I did 30 years ago. Tell me, is that crazy? I feel better now. And I think cognitively, I'm better than I was 20 years ago. I don't know why. I said, doctor, you know, Doc Ronny, right? Ronny, do you know Ronny? Ronny Jackson? I said, should I take a cognitive test? Because for a while, they were saying, this guy is so brilliant, he wants to take over the world. And that wasn't working. This guy is like unbelievable, the job he's doing, we have to stop him, he's a genius. That wasn't working. Then they said, this is one of the dumbest human beings ever. And that wasn't working, but I didn't like that one as much. I mean, that was bad. So I asked Doc Ronny, who is, as you know, the White House doctor for Obama, for Trump. I mean, great doctor. He's also an admiral in the Navy, highly respected admiral. Now he's a congressman in Texas.
Will we ever know why Trump refers to himself in the third person so often? He was the doctor for Obama and for Trump, and that Trump was a handsome guy. It's just bizarre. Me is a term we use often to refer to ourselves, just for Trump's knowledge. And then whoever in the liberal media said Trump's such a genius and he's doing such a job that we have to stop him. We have to stop him for sure, for other reasons. You can both be a ding-dong and really dangerous. And that about embodies Donald J. Trump. Then he once again brags about acing a dementia screening test.
But I said, well, I'm good at tests, so what's the story? He said, well, the problem is, you know, people will find out, and if you do badly, it's not a particularly good thing. You don't want to have some guy get like a disaster. I said, well, is it a hard test? It can be hard. I said, look, I got to take it because I got to shut it up. And I took it, and I aced it. I think it was 30 questions. And let me tell you, you know, they always show you the first one, like a giraffe, a tiger, or this, or that, a whale. Which one is the whale? Okay, and that goes on for 3 or 4, and then it gets harder and harder and harder, and then it's multiplied 3,293 times 4, divide by 3. They have plenty of tough stuff. But those last 15, 20 questions.
Yeah, so the end of the test, he's exaggerated more and more and more as the years have gone by. NBC News reports that some of the last 5 questions that Trump was referring to include naming the time and place that you're in, as well as repeating a series of words that you were asked to remember earlier in the test. It's to screen for dementia. It's not proving that you're a genius at the end. 3,523 divided. That's not what it is, Donald. And it's embarrassing that you keep bragging about acing this test. Stop it. And then one more about Ronny Jackson.
But anyway, now he talks. But they asked Doc Ronny, who's better, Barack Hussein Obama? Remember Rush Limbaugh? He used to go, Barack Hussein Obama. We screamed the word Hussein. I wonder why he was doing that.
I wonder why. It's almost like you're proving that at least you believe a large portion of your audience would be frightened by a name proving the bigotry that exists.
But he would scream the word. But I'd say, so who's in better health? They would actually ask, the media would ask, who's in better health, President Obama or President Trump? And he would say, President Trump, 100%. In fact, he said if he didn't eat so much junk food, he'd be around for 200 years. He said.
So, no comment on the comparison between Obama and Trump, but I will say this reminded me, the bit about Ronny Jackson thinks I'm so fit and I'm so wonderful, of this back at a CPAC a couple of years ago.
Ronny Jackson, my doctor. Dr. Ronny. Where's Ronny? Where's Ronny? Oh, he was the White House doctor. He was a great doctor, you know. He was an admiral, a doctor, and now he's a congressman. I said, which is the best if you had your choice? And he sort of indicated doctor because he loved looking at my body. It was so strong and powerful.
So strong and powerful. If I was in a doctor's office and they were, quote unquote, looking at my body and they started commenting on how strong and powerful it looks, I'd be uncomfortable, okay? Just tell me that I'm all right. I'm not going to die. Please don't comment on how beautiful things look, or if they don't look beautiful, definitely don't comment on that. My goodness. And this is a bit Trump does a lot. Here's him at a rally.
They love him. And he was a great doctor. He knows more about my body than any human being on earth. Sadly, that includes our great First Lady, I think.
Moving on. Here, Trump talks about corn in Iowa and very aptly points out that it's not liquid.
Earned that. And, you know, we have more liquid gold and wealth under our feet than any other nation. We have more liquid gold, oil and gas, more liquid gold. Well, I just met non-liquid gold. You know where it was? Iowa. It's called corn. It's non-liquid. That's my take. You have more non-liquid gold. They said, what is that? I said, corn. They said, we love that idea. You know, that's a pretty cool thought, isn't it?
Who's they in that story? Well, that's a pretty cool thought, Don. It reminds me of whenever he was at a speech. Oh no, someone's gonna give me. And said, as a reminder, this man's a threat to democracy. He would do horrible things in a second term. It's very serious. And I'm just trying to laugh at the absurdity in this moment, but it's the ding dong and dangerous thing. The story of his biography. At his speech, he was like, you know, I was thinking the other day, us, U-S, what's that spell? Us, you get it? Us, U-S, us. It's like the same thing. It was crazy. Woo. Okay, moving to this. Just again, I don't understand how his brain works where he's walking. To me, I feel satisfaction lost. I feel a lack of satisfaction when I can't properly finish my point. He just walks down a path and goes left turn and just wanders somewhere else mid thought. Here, he's talking about the caucus results. Then, boom, is talking about driving a Rolls Royce at some point.
Close to 7 o'clock, I said, one more. You just won the Iowa primary, you call it, the Iowa caucus. I said, how did I win the caucus? I just got here. You know, the doors were still open to the army tank that I drive in. You know, we have windows that are like this thick. I've never seen anything like that. I go in an army tank. But I used to drive a Rolls Royce, and now I drive in an army tank. But, you know, the army tank costs more money than the Rolls Royce. So, you know, a friend of mine said, you know, you have so many of those things. Don't you like the Rolls Royce better? I said, well, actually, this is much more expensive than a Rolls Royce if you want to. But
okay, so one more thing I want to show you. I've gone to Trump rallies. I've talked to Trump supporters. I do my best to understand things about them and observe a lot of their goings on in these situations. And one thing I've never seen is what I'm about to play for you. A Trump supporter who has a Trump store has a product that exemplifies a particular body part of the dear leader.
The mugshot was really hot. And this stuff lasts probably about 2 months. It stays really hot. But the first week that the mugshot came out, we sold like 2,000 t-shirts.
What's that?
That's Trump's balls.
Whitey Taylor.
What is happening in this country? Did you see that? Come on. What am I supposed to say? You're selling that? And it's not a cult? All right. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you want to become a member, you can become one at lukebeasleyshow.com/membership to get extra content and to support the show.